What's going on, guys? Cody from MotorcycleMD. Welcome to another video, and this one has been asked from me from numerous people about putting the carburetors back into the inline 4. This is specifically the CB750 Nighthawk, on how I do it. You know, I got videos on cleaning these things down completely, splitting them apart, getting them perfect, how I would clean them, as well as removing them, but I don't have an install video. So while we wait for parts for the CL350 tracker build that are on back order and have been on back order for months now, I have to push forward, try to get some more bikes back together. So in this video, we will be installing these carburetors inside of this bike. Let's do it. So before we begin, a couple of things that you may use, probably the same things that you may use to get them out. Some people just use sheer brute force, but there are easier ways to do this if you use leverage and things like grease, which this is what I use on pretty much everything. But any type of grease is gonna be your best friend. You can even use silicone spray. Silicone spray is a dry lubricant. It goes on wet, you can use it real quick, and then it will actually dry and not leave any type of goop places behind. That's kind of like one of the downfalls with grease, is that it does seem to collect dust and debris around where it's left. So if you use grease, be mindful of not too much. We're just trying to lube up certain sections that we're going to be pushing into to help ease it in. Silicone spray is honestly one of the better bets. This is the stuff from Honda that I use. I'll put a link in the description for this, but you can Amazon any type of silicone spray. This is just what Honda has. Probably more expensive than most, but some type of flat bar, crowbar works great, as well as a junk piece of wood. Good to pry up against instead of metal parts that can be damaged or broken. And some people will even use things like ratchet straps to kind of pull the carbs in. You can do that. I'm not going to try to do that without that, but many people do different things that work great for them. So some scenarios can be different when we're talking about the pliability of the rubber parts, like on the airbox. These guys right there, or the flanges that go on the carb. Sometimes after age and time, they just get so hard that they start to rip and tear on your way in. So it's just stuff that we gotta be mindful of, some things that we gotta check before we slam these things in there, and that's my goal in this video. Show you guys some cool tips. And last thing you will definitely need, shout out to Grip Clean, the sponsor of MotorcycleMD videos. These are their hand wipes. I guarantee you by the end of this video, we will be using these, and they are awesome. Link below, MotoMD at your checkout cart. Will give you 10% off of your entire order. Their hand wipes are my favorite thing to have, especially in a shop with no water or anything. They can clean the tools, and they're awesome. They're awesome. So maybe we'll give a little bit of a video on how well these things work when we're all done, because my hands will be gross. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, so we have a clean set of carbs. These are all prepped. I've bench sunk them. All of the videos that I have on cleaning these carburetors out are inside of the inline 4 workshop to get these things perfect and ready to go in. That's obviously what you're trying to do. Make your bike run. Okay, so there's some things that we can look at before we dive in. Get these rags out of here. Okay, we have our vacuum line here. We want to make sure that this is good. Okay, this is what's feeding your vacuum operated petcock. Now it's time to look at this. Look on both ends. We're looking for any type of spidering that can take place or cracking at the very tip of this. Sometimes these get real hard. Just go ahead and replace it. It's a short tube. You can get it at any auto parts store. We also want to be looking at just the integrity of inside of these flanges. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to fray a little bit on this one. But what we're looking for, and these are hard, man. These are real hard, but we're gonna work with them. Okay, but we're looking for, make sure that there's no cut pieces of rubber that are just kind of waiting to go down into the intake. Trust me when I say I have seen it and I have done it without knowing. And once the rubber makes its way down into where the valves are, it usually doesn't go past the valves. It just kind of sits on the valve seat, and then the valve won't close, and then you're like, why won't my bike run anymore? But we're just looking for any type of sign of deterioration, anything that we can kind of pull out of there in the meantime to make way for what's about to happen. Alright, as you can see, our cable is routed for our throttle, as well as choke cable routed down this right side of the bike. So this, we will be installing the cables onto the carb, then we'll be going in with the carbs this way. Okay, it just makes more sense that way. I've done it where you put the cables on after the carbs are installed, but it's a pain in the butt. Okay, these of course are the intakes for the airbox, okay, or the outlets, whatever you want to call them, flanges. Same thing, looking for any kind of deterioration. If you can do this and it cracks, replace them. If you can still get them, I don't know, but you can find them on eBay, wherever you can, because a lot of people delete these boxes and put aftermarket air filters on them, all types of different types of stuff that is stuff. So what I do from the jump is I go ahead and remove all of these clamps. Pay close attention to how they're orientated. Sorry for that backlight. There we go, no more backlight. Pay attention to how these things are orientated, okay? So you obviously want to be able to face and see the Phillips head from this side. That's the same way with like the bowl drains on your carb. They want to be facing, two of them should be facing towards you when you're on that side of the bike. So we don't want these to be all wonky and be upside down and inside of each other like this, and you're tightening like that, or on top, because it looks ugly when it's on top. It all should be hidden down underneath. Okay, so orientation of these is important. Don't flip this around this way to where now you're tightening it from the other side. That's just stupid. Okay, so we're gonna take all these clamps off, because they likely get damaged when you are mashing these, because when we start to go in, there's going to be a time where we have to put some pressure on these in really odd situations, because that's a normal thing. And like, that's why the integrity of these things is important, because if they're already tearing now, I guarantee you're going to make it worse. There's no real way to go about that. Okay, so all the clamps are off. You can leave these clamps on. We want these clamps to be as loose as they can possibly be without the bolt falling out. Still have some room there, so just back them all out to the very, very end of their little hold. This I'm not too worried about. We can kind of push this off to the side. It's just going to be in the way. So yeah, so what we'll do now is we'll install our throttle cable, we'll install our choke cable. I'll give you guys some tips on setting the slack for the choke so it's not always on. And then we're going to start sliding these things in, but we have one more thing to do. Let's go ahead and clean up the ends of these lips. Okay, you can clean up all this if you want, make it nice and clean looking, because this is the only time you'll be able to get to it all. Nice and clean. Then we're going to throw our grease just on the outer part of this, and just a little bit on the inside. Okay, you're not gobbing it on there, just a little bit on the outside, some on the inside of each one. Alright, let's go ahead and install our throttle cables. Okay, obviously carbs are going this way. If you remember where this thing sits at, it's going to sit on the Silver 2 carb against this CB top. Okay, so it's going to sit on there like that. Alright, so this is kind of a funky way to do this, but we're going to hold them on like that. One cable is going to go down the back and one's going to come up the front. These two screws should be longer than all the other ones that you had. JIS number 2 Phillips, magnetic tip. Vessel was really the best one that I've ever found. That's actually affordable. So this is kind of the tricky one, is this. Yeah, so I knew that was going to come out. Just going to feed this down. Use your fingers. Yeah, something like this, a little 90-degree pick. That way once it's set in there, believe it or not, this is the easiest way to do it. Alright, that one's in. Put some tension on that. It's wrapped up into the back end of this. Go ahead and throw this one on. Try not to use any pliers with these two, because as soon as you put a kink in it, you're just taking away a lot of dexterity out of the cable and its ability to have good slack and all that stuff. So we got them both in now. holding tension on this, making sure that our cable in the back has gone into where it needs to go, that little land. Keeping tension on it. We're gonna throw this on. Sweet. And they are the right way. Okay, the throttle does not move, you've gotten these cables backwards. Okay, lock that in. Alright, so that's in. Now it's time to do our choke. Okay, this is the hold for the choke. It's very basic on how this should be held. Sometimes this holds onto the metal, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's a little bit further up on the rubber, which is fine. But we're going to grab our choke lever right here. Okay, we're going to feed that into it. Looks like it's going to want to go on the left hand side of it. Whatever's easiest. Okay, that's in. And go ahead and throw it into our hold. What we're looking for is the amount of slack that we have until this arm is actually functioning on our levers down here. Okay, you can see that there's some motion there that I'm not actuating the chokes. Okay, I like to put it so that's where it touches them, right here, the little enrichment valves. That's when it pulls up on them. So all the way down is like that. There's some slack, 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 slack until it touches. I just go kind of right in the middle of that. Because we want these things to be able to return all the way back down without any pressure on our enrichment valves. And check each one, okay? Check each one of these, because sometimes these arms get bent, or the rod gets bent, or how they were installed was incorrect, or they're crooked, or whatever. So this one may have more pressure on it over here than this one over here, right? So I'm going to lock this in. We can actually function our choke right now. Okay, just very lightly. Looks like the one on the far right is already at the top of that plunger, so we're just going to drop it down just a little bit. Maximum clearance. Okay, so there's some play up here to choke where it's not functioning the plungers, which is what I want, and all the way up is like that. And they rest all the way back down. If they're not resting all the way back down, kind of put your finger on them and push them. If they're not, then either you haven't cleaned that port out nicely, you installed these incorrectly, so you might even try just loosening up that bolt, rotating this, because these have some play in them, and locking it back down, okay? The fact that this part here is the most crucial to idling and how it runs. If any of these plungers are hung up at all and knocking all the way down, it will make the bike not run correctly, not smooth. The idle will be kind of rough, and you'll be like, "I cleaned the carbs 10 times, but but it's not running right." That's vital, man. Make sure that when your choke is all the way off, the enrichments are all the way down. Okay, so that's locked in. That's locked in. You can kind of do a little bit of a free play check, which is bound to change once this is all installed because these cables will have a little bit more tension on them, but that's good enough free play right there. This locked all the way down. This is actually loose, but we can tighten that later. I'm not too concerned about that. So, obviously, I'm working on the bike on a bench. It's elevated, but it's still on the center stand. Hopefully you still have your center stand because you're probably doing this on the ground because you don't have a bench. Maybe you do. Good for you. Safety, okay? Obviously, the bike is way more important than you. Okay, so just be I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, when you're working with carburetors and trying to push them back in or pull them back in or not using the right leverage or whatever you're doing, it can cause a risk because the bike can still roll off of the center stand or on the side stand. If, let's say you don't have the center stand, it can roll and then fall. It's actually more dangerous for me because I don't have the front wheel locked in, so now it's at this height. And I don't care, I'm just gonna let it drop if it drops, but it's not going to because we're gonna do the right thing. But if you want to take a strap or like a ratchet strap or a rope, whatever you got, you can latch onto the center stand and just go to the front wheel. That would allow the center stand to not fold back in. So if it's trying to roll forward, the center stand is just locked. It will just skid. It's a lot easier to roll forward off the center stand than it is to go from side to side. Because these things, it takes a lot of movement for you to move a center stand from left to right. That's the whole purpose. All right. So just be careful with that, all right? Just how you're applying pressure be mindful of what you're doing, because with enough force you can easily roll this thing off. Alright, so the air box on these, I'll let these kind of show right there for a minute. The air box on these is movable. Okay, there's a bolt right here in the back that you can take out, right, and allows you to slide this thing as far back as you can possibly go. Even if you can, shoot, let's go ahead and just remove this little fuse box. We want all the motion back. Okay, no bolts in the air box. I want this thing to slide back as much as humanly possible. Some people will take this and they'll put a strap around it and they'll lock it to the back. Okay? I don't need to do that, but we want full motion back. So if there's a bolt here, take it out. Don't leave it so it can slide around in that slot. It's not enough room for it. Alright? So fully back, that's key. We'll always be fighting this to stay back. Like I said, bungee cords, whatever you want to do, I don't care. Alright, so silicone spray. Hit all this stuff up. Like I said, it dries. I'm not worried about it going down the intake, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to figure out where I put the carbs. They're hanging right here. Okay, going in like this. We can either go, well, probably try to do is come in like this, then we'll kind of slide them onto the intakes like that. So this is pretty easy. Just gonna roll this all the way through. Watch for harnesses. This is where it gets more difficult because you can see there's not a lot of clearance between this and this. Alright, so what we'll do, we'll try to come up with this box. I'm gonna line these up so that they can kind of rotating back into the intakes. Okay, I'm rotating back in. And then try to go down a little bit on them, just so they're, there we go, so they're lined up like that. Okay, so now this is what we're going to be fighting. What we want to do is try to get these in as soon as possible, because as soon as we get these in, that's when the magic happens. So they're already almost in now. Sometimes one side wants to go in and one doesn't. So what I'm kind of trying to do is just using this as like a rest for my arm, as well as a brace backwards to push against. I'm just kind of rocking these up and down. Obviously you can apply more force here than on the other side, but this one's, they're like halfway in, but they're not halfway in on the other side. Okay, so you have a nice big backbone to your frame on these 750s, really big. If you have a nice crowbar that's specifically yellow, we can take this up against that backbone there, grab a rag or a piece of, this piece of wood might be a little bit too big, I don't want to affect the harness, obviously, or pinch the harness. Doesn't look like I am, but there's just not enough room. If this was like halved, it might be a good little wedge. But a rag, so you don't damage the frame. If I wanted to, this little, I think this is a pulse generator wire or something. I'm just going to unplug this. This is kind of in my way on the other side. That rag there, crowbar. Because there's a top frame piece here, this is not carb body-ish, it's just a framing. Mine's painted, because I'm dumb. But you can go like right on the screw head, or on that frame if you want. Just kind of using that as my leverage point to push these in. I try to put pressure downward as I'm turning them in like that, because when you do this, all they're going to do is rock up. So you're trying to keep that pressure downward. Give it some wiggle. And you'll feel once it goes in, this side's almost ready to pop back out again, so I'll use it backwards. That side's in. Okay, so this right side is in. At least this one is. I'm gonna go ahead and, so this one's out obviously. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this band clamp down on this right side. Just to kind of give me some hold there. So I know at least one is all the way in. This one's about to be in right here. But this one's in. So, if we're really lucky, that clamp will help us. Boom. Kind of slipped down into this pocket, but that's okay. So they're all in now. That right side held for us, left side's in. We can go ahead and tighten all of these clamps down. No damage whatsoever to the carbs. Just gotta be careful. Oh, I'm missing a screw right here. Okay. You don't need to tighten these clamps until the point that they're touching. Just want them tight. Kind of turn this number 2 kind of more down like this, so it's not straight up on it like that, because this one's in the way. So if you turn it downward like this, you can get a Phillips head screwdriver in there nice and clean. This is where those long Phillips head screwdrivers really come in handy. I'm kind of holding the clamp with my finger. You can kind of hold it from up here too if you need. Keep it from spinning. Alright, now our airbox is still loose, but we got tons of room in here now. Just enough room. Remember these? They're not all bent up now. People leave those things on, they get all bent and they're fighting them. Perfect condition. Take these and just throw them in. Remember I said about orientation. To the other side. We still have one crucial part we gotta pay attention to. So hang in there. I know you've probably already done exit out of the video. I'm like, oh, I can do that. There's more. But wait, there's more. These are on. We can take our airbox and start mating these. Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes the bottom lip will get hung up or something like that. Very common. If that happens, you can use a 90-degree pick and just kind of roll it down, almost like a shoehorn. Alright. This side's getting caught. There we go. Same with this one. Sometimes I'll take like a crowbar, slide it in back here just to put some pressure on it. That one's on. So we're working on 2 and 3 now. I'm sorry, 3 and 4. Sweet, yeah. Those are pretty much on. Alright. So what you can do is you can put the bolt back in back here if you want to kind of help hold the airbox up and keep pressure on it. Not the right bolt, but we're going to use it for now. Okay, what we're going to do is put more pressure. Okay, I want this airbox to be as far forward as possible. Obviously you have a plastic fender back here, so there's only so much you can do. There we go. Put a little pressure right here, as forward as possible. Lock this in. That's the most the airbox is going to be able to be bolted in and forward. Okay, but what we need to make sure of are that these flanges go on as far as possible. Okay, we don't want these things hanging off halfway and you're tightening them down. It's just stupid, it looks dumb, and it's just bad. So we want all the air for these things to come from this airbox. Okay, so what that will require is just pressure from certain areas. Like if the bottom end doesn't seem like it wants to go all the way on, just grab it right on the back of the lip and you can kind of maneuver this to push this on more. Maybe even as you're tightening. Okay? I just want it to be as far forward as possible. I know that these things heat up and they kind of shrink almost. And obviously you don't want to pull it out of the airbox back here. But we really want them to be on all the way. I find it much easier to use some type of pneumatic drill just because of speed. You know, sometimes you push these things on, they want to roll right back off again. But if you can tighten it real quick, you're in luck. Okay, I'm just kind of mashing it on from all angles, not ripping through the rubber, just applying pressure the best way I can. Cool. The second one's looking awesome. Don't want to do that. Don't want to round off the Phillips head. Oh, see, my clamp's not even on the boot. Look at that. Clamp's not even on the boot all the way. Like an amateur. If you want to now, I mean, we're on the road to success here. If you guys remember, there are bolts down in here to hold the frame, to hold the airbox in, and there's two on the other side too. You can go ahead and throw those in as well. Alright, it's in there, I'm happy. I'm going to get this out of our way now. You can feel this number 3 is all the way on. It's looking good. And so is this one. This one's definitely on. This one's on almost freaking perfect. Freaking perfect. It's perfect. It's something you can be proud of right there. If you've removed these, you've cleaned them, maybe even using the content that I provide with that, shout out to the membership, shout out to the inline 4 carb product that will set you free. And now you've installed them. I obviously can't start it up right now. I'm in a battery. I gotta button up some stuff. I also need a new starter switch for this. But the carbs are installed. That's half the battle. Again, if you need help cleaning these carburetors, I have an inline. This is easily, if you go to a shop, a dealership who does good work and stands behind their work no matter what, easily an $800 job. Easily. You may think that that's highway robbery. The thing is that if you've ever cleaned these carbs and you've done it correctly and you've gone through even sinking them afterward with gauges and you tore them, you split them apart, you didn't just soak them and then take them out and spray it, but you actually clean them. It takes 4 or 5 hours on being on it, you know, being tight. But removal, install, it could be a whole thing, okay? So that's why it's that much money. I literally sell this entire removal, cleaning, and installation now for 40 bucks. 40 bucks to do what I do. I'm telling you, I've gotten tons of great feedback from those carb videos. They're super helpful. Check them out, man. I walk you through step by step how to do it, okay? I don't leave you out to survive on your own, okay? Because there's a lot to it. They're very intimidating. But these are installed. They're done. We will fire this up eventually. Then we'll sync it, make sure it's perfect. And I'll have my bike back, you know? Old Blackie. It's not her name, but it works for right now. But hands are disgusting. Remember what I said? Look at that compared to my face. Clean face, dirty hands. Ziggler clean. Oh, that's half a towel. Take a towel out. Smells amazing. Lemon scent. Dirty towel, clean hands. Yeah, man, these things are awesome. Like I said, I love having these things in the shop. They smell so good. They don't leave your hands all like oily feeling. And these rags are gold, man. I mean, I just put this thing through the ringer, right? Clean hand test. Clean hand test. I can now clean off all of my tools with them. Everything that I use, because I like to keep these things in the color that they were when you bought them. Everything. Awesome product. Again, use MotoMD at checkout when you go to their website. Description link in the description. gripclean.com, MotoMD at checkout. Buy you some. I guarantee you'll love them. But that's it. Okay, again, there's a product for this for you guys. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm sure there might be some tips that you say, I do this and it works great. Perfect. In the comments below, let us know. What do you do? That's pretty much what I do for almost any carb install. And inline 4, it's a bear. I know some of you guys are like, I do not want to take these things back out. That was a pain in the butt. It is a pain in the butt. But hopefully with those tips and tricks that I showed you guys, it's going to make it a lot easier and make a lot more sense. It actually would have been easier for me, to be honest, if I wasn't at the same height of my leverage point, because now I'm not top heavy. When you're down on the ground, you actually put a lot more leverage and pressure into it. Up here, I'm kind of like, you know, so that's just the way it is. So it actually would have been easier to do it on the ground, to be honest. But it's a good shot for the camera, so I hope you guys found it helpful. Let me know. Like the video if you do. Don't like it if you don't. Don't really care. Share, subscribe. Try to put a video out at least once a week or once every other week, so stay tuned, man. We still have a lot to do on the 350 build. I'm just waiting on parts for that. So anybody who's wondering where the heck that is, I'm just waiting on some cool parts to come in. Okay, I've been waiting for a long time actually, but I have news that they're on their way. Also, I'll add to anybody who was a fan of the Broken Moto Show and you're wondering where the heck is the Broken Moto Show at? Well, we are going on a summer break. I should have sent an email out, but I did not because I just ran out of time and just been a lot going on as far as in my life and what's been going on. So, all that being said, we are not gone forever. We are just taking a break. Matt is busy. It's summertime. His kids have lots of stuff to do. Matt over at How To Motorcycle Repair. We are still great friends. We talk often. It's just right now he's busy with his kids and I'm busy with what I have going on as well. I want to get some more projects done. So it's on hiatus for the summer and we'll be returning back to you guys, I'm sure, very soon. We'll let you guys know. But we appreciate all the fan love from the Broken Moto Show and the donations and the beer that people have given us. We loved it. It was hard to say, let's stop this for a minute because we just got life going on. Because we really enjoyed it and we enjoyed talking to each other and chatting about motorcycles. So it will be coming back for anybody who is wondering where that is. It's not gone forever. It's just on a break for now. So that's all I have to say, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video and staying with me. I value your time. I hope this was valuable for yours. And one last thing, make sure you guys check out the shop, MotorcycleMD shop. I have some t-shirts on sale, all different colors, cool colors for the summertime, really soft, lightweight shirts. Represent MotorcycleMD, support the channel and me and my family. I'd be really appreciated. They're on sale, so check them out. That'd be really awesome. Until next time, Cody from MotorcycleMD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or my daily rider. Later.